it's become a hidden malnutrition epidemic. So basically the concept is we are overfed but undernourished, right? We're eating a lot of empty things. So modern food production has made food a lot more accessible and convenient, but what's the cost there? Now our diets are dominated by ultra-processed foods.
Welcome to Health Decoded, your number one source for real health information, with your hosts, Dr. Alessi and Matt Tack.
Welcome back to another episode of Health Decoded. I am your host, Dr. Alessi.
And your co-host, Matt Tack.
Matt Tack, looking good, buddy. Got the beard all trimmed up finally.
Got it trimmed up, man. I went and saw my niece and nephew, and I was like, dude, I'm going to be giving some kisses, so
yeah,
got to clean up a little bit.
You were in the middle ground where it wasn't like soft yet. It was like spiky. You know, mine's like very fluffy and soft, but it's been some years to get there.
Mine goes straight out. It just goes straight out. Like I don't ever think it actually truly curls. Maybe I think I had a number of years ago in a curl, but I ain't down with the too much facial hair.
Well, how you been, man? What's new? How's the week been going?
Week's been going good, man. It's been busy. Obviously been working on a few things, a few little bottlenecks with the internet going down.
I know, right?
But such is the game. You got to play and you got to push through those things.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because like this whole week, normally you and I are working out like midday, we're getting those lunchtime workouts, but my whole week's been off. I've either had to go early or mostly I just been going out at the end of the day, like 5:30, 6 p.m. And I'm like, like that's not when I like to lift. The gym is full of people. I don't have the most energy, but dude, I've been dialing in with this product that Taylor sent us, the Authentic Non-Stim. So it's a pre-workout that I can take before like an evening workout and not have to worry about like, is the caffeine going to keep me up all night? Because that affects me. Like if I have caffeine after 4 p.m., I'm kind of going to be tossing all night. But dude, like I was just reading the ingredients on this, loaded with L-citrulline, 6,000 milligrams. So you get like a pretty gnarly pump from this. And then he put in there lion's mane and alpha GPC. So like really good focus, man, like a really good kind of like sustained energy throughout the workout. And so really digging it, man. Really great product. Obviously we work with them and they're our sponsors. So I always want to plug that, but just a kind of a true testimonial there that I been kind of lately trying. So, and then obviously right now I got a little mushroom coffee.
Yeah. I love the nootropics. When they kind of add that in, you get that brain fuel along with the body fuel.
Yeah,
love that.
Exactly, man. Well, awesome, man. Why don't we get into it? We want to thank you guys for joining us today. Another episode of Health Decoded. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about supplementation, but more importantly, why supplements aren't just a wellness trend and nowadays are a necessity.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll dive into the modern food crisis, nutrient depletion, and why even healthy diet often isn't enough anymore.
That's right, man. That's right.
So in segment one, we're going to just talk about the nutrition crisis. So I want to highlight some of the things that we're going to be seeing just in the variations of our diet and why supplementation is a critical part of that. But declining soil quality and food nutrient loss is a crisis in modern agriculture. The soil crisis, the reasoning why our food is losing nutrients. Over the past 70 years, agricultural practices have shifted dramatically to support higher yields, faster growth, and global food supply chains. While this has allowed us to produce more food, it has also come at a steep nutritional cost. So the very soil that grows our food is now severely depleted of essential vitamins and minerals our bodies need. In a study published in the Journal of American College of Nutrition compared USDA nutrient data from 1950 to 1999 and found that so this is from 1999. This was in 2004 and found that the mineral content of fruits and vegetables declined up to 38%. Here are some micronutrients that you want to see this stat. Calcium down 16%, iron down 15%, vitamin C down 20%, a massive trigger in the growth of our ligaments, right? So that means we can't support enough muscle mass. What does that do to the American body? And riboflavin The B2 supplement down 38%. So this means that a bowl of spinach or an apple today contains significantly fewer vitamins and minerals that the same food a few generations ago did. So now we ask ourselves the question, why is this happening? Synthetic fertilizers and monocropping. So one of the biggest culprits behind soil depletion is the heavy use of synthetic fertilizers. Instead of natural compost and crop rotation, modern farms rely on chemical fertilizers that provide only 3 key ingredients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. While these help plants grow faster and bigger, they do nothing to replenish the dozens of other trace minerals our bodies need, such as magnesium, selenium, and zinc. So monocropping, the practice of growing the same crop on the same land year after year, makes the problems worse by stripping the soil of specific nutrients without replenishing them. And here's an example. Corn and wheat fields, which dominate modern agriculture, leaving the soil deficient in minerals like magnesium and potassium, nutrients essential for human health. Here's a study by the University of Texas in 2004 found that the industrial farming has led to a 40% drop in key nutrients in crops compared to those using traditional methods. So long food supply chains equal fewer nutrients. So even if a food is a nutrient rich at harvest, it doesn't mean those nutrients stay intact by the time it reaches your plate. Many store-bought foods and vegetables travel thousands of miles before being consumed, losing vital nutrients along the way. And a study by the University of California recently in 2017 found that spinach loses up to 90% of its vitamin C value within 24 hours of harvest. By the time it reaches the grocery store, often 5 to 7 days later, most of its vitamin C is completely gone. Other nutrients like B vitamins and antioxidants degrade rapidly in storage. Here's why. Oxidation. Nutrients break down when exposed to oxygen. Light and temperature changes. Heat and artificial lighting in supermarkets accelerate this vitamin loss. The processing and transportation. Many fruits and vegetables are picked before peak ripeness, meaning they never fully develop their nutrient profile. So what does this mean for you? Even if you eat a healthy diet, you may still be missing out on critical nutrients simply because today's food is not as nutritious as it used to be. This means one of the biggest reasons why supplementation is no longer optional, it's a pure necessity. You can't rely on the foods alone to meet all your micronutrient needs. Even organic produce, while lower in pesticides, still suffers from soil depletion. Modern agriculture focuses on yield, appearance, and shelf life, not nutritional density. So let's talk about how to reclaim your nutrition. Prioritize regeneratively grown and local produce. Farmer markets often have higher nutrient content than supermarket produce. Eat fresh and seasonal. The fresher your food, the more nutrient it retains. Supplement strategically because modern food is lacking. Targeted supplementation is essential. Support soil health initiatives. Regenerative agriculture restores soil microbiomes, which naturally increase the nutrient density of crops. So here's the bottom line to all this. The food we eat today isn't what it used to be, plain and simple. If you're feeling tired, inflamed, or deficient, it's not just in your head. It's likely in your food.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And that's, we've seen this trend just getting worse over time as well. And so, the biggest thing I think there is like these soil health initiatives. I've been kind of a big proponent of this for probably the last 10 years. Like dedicating money or like investing in these regenerative agricultural farms, kind of like what my cousin Andrew does with the Boozy Pig. They have regenerative agriculture where the animals ruminate and eat food, and then obviously they poop and it goes into the grass and regenerates that soil. And that's how it's supposed to be. Then they walk on it, right? And they step and they push that into the ground and it fertilizes it. And all the nutrients are able to grow and kind of like bud from there. That's not being done anymore, at least on these large scale farms. So super important, because that's where the food gets its nutrients from, is from the ground. So, let's get a little bit into kind of what these deficiencies are that we see now in, American people with the standard American diet and all of this that's been going on. So, ultimately it's all the ultra processed foods and the fact that they have zero nutrition in them, right? And so it's become a hidden malnutrition epidemic. So basically the concept is we are overfed but undernourished, right? We're eating a lot of empty things. So modern food production has made food a lot more accessible and convenient, but at the cost of, right? What's the cost there? That now our diets are dominated by ultra processed foods. And some of these stats are actually really alarming. And I was not aware they were this high, but a study in JAMA 2021 found that 60% of the average American's diet comes from ultra processed foods. 60%. That is a majority, obviously, but a big number. And that means people aren't getting whole food nutrition or real food nutrition. I call it fake food. Whenever my kids were at the grocery store and they're like, Papa, can we get this? I'm like, no, buddy, that's not food. I want them to kind of correlate that, like that thing in a box there that's bright green, that doesn't exist in real life. You know what I mean? So putting that together in our heads. But among children and teenagers, this number is even higher. It's exceeding 67% of their total daily calories. And a lot of that is the breakfast foods, right? So ultra processed foods contribute then to obesity, metabolic disorders, and nutrient deficiencies, what we're talking about today. So despite providing more than enough calories, right? So they're very heavy in calories, but very light in actual nutrition. And so why do they lead to deficiencies? Because they're not just junk food, they're actually contributing to nutrient depletion, because these refined ingredients, they strip the body of natural vitamins and minerals during the processing. And so the high sugar and the artificial additives, they're going to increase inflammation and deplete your essential nutrients, specifically like magnesium and B vitamins. And then obviously poor nutrient bioavailability. So the synthetic vitamins that are added back into these processed foods, like in fortified cereals, they aren't absorbed or even really like grasped by your body. Your body doesn't know what these are. And so it's not going to utilize those in the way that it should. And so this is why so many Americans are simultaneously overweight and malnourished at the same time, which is then that paradox that leads to long-term health consequences. So some of the most common deficiencies and kind of what you can see from those, these are like kind of symptoms that, you can look for, is number one is magnesium deficiency. This is a silent epidemic in our country. So a study from the National Institute of Health in 2023 found that 50% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. Now, magnesium is essential for over 300 biochemical processes. It's basically that cofactor that your body uses for almost everything. So including muscle function, stress regulation, and sleep quality. And so the rise of ultra-processed foods, which contain almost no magnesium, has led to this deficiency. And so some symptoms you can experience when deficient in magnesium: anxiety and irritability, right? That inability to be able to like calm and relax, poor sleep and chronic fatigue, and then like constant muscle cramping and headaches. So magnesium also plays a critical role in blood sugar regulation. So a deficiency in this is also linked to the reason we have such an increased risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease in this country. And so the processed foods strip out the natural magnesium found in leafy greens, nuts, and whole grains. And so the next one, which is probably right up there with it, is the vitamin D deficiency, which is our immune and hormone regulating. It's a hormone, really, not a vitamin, but we'll call it a vitamin D. And so a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition 2011 found that 42% of U.S. adults are deficient in vitamin D. And that's from 2011, so it's more than likely higher today. And so vitamin D is crucial for immune health, bone strength, and hormone regulation. It's basically a pro-hormone that helps our body to then synthesize real hormones, right? Or the other hormones, I should say, your androgens. And so with modern indoor lifestyles, less sun exposure, the overuse of sunscreens, right? I try to tell people not to use too much sunscreen, like there's a balance, right? And poor dietary sources, those deficiency rates are climbing. So some things you can see with vitamin D deficiency, some symptoms you could experience: frequently getting sick, colds and infections, low energy levels, and maybe even depression. And then weakened bones and muscle pain, right? Those chronic joint things that you see when you're like, man, why do I just have widespread kind of joint pain? And so why is it a problem? Well, vitamin D deficiency is associated with the higher risk of chronic illness, including autoimmune disease, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, and processed foods contain little to no vitamin D. So that means people are basically going to be vitamin D deficient year round. And so, if we're not getting outside and getting that adequate sunlight or getting it from our food, that's going to become a problem. And so then the next one, kind of the top three, right? The omega-3 deficiency. And this is one that I think kind of gets swept under. Obviously, a lot of people talk about magnesium and vitamin D, but I think omega-3 gets missed. This is an inflammation driver. So a study in Nutrients 2020 found that 68% of adults consume below the recommended levels of omega-3s. And so our diets in this country are very much high omega-6, which is pro-inflammatory, and low omega-3, and should be the opposite. Should be at least a 4-to-1, 3-to-6. So omega-3 fatty acids are essential for brain function, heart health, and controlling inflammation. The rise of seed oils like canola, soybean, and corn has led to a severe imbalance, right? Those are omega-6 fats. And so it's pushed that omega-6 level higher, which is inflammatory, and caused us to be lower in omega-3s. And so what you'll see with an omega-3 deficiency is things like brain fog and memory issues, joint pain, chronic inflammation, and an increased risk of heart disease. And so this is actually something we use in our clinic to help when people have those high inflammatory cardiac markers. We're going to put them on a very high level of omega-3 fish oil supplementation, even utilizing like sublinguals and stuff like that to drive those inflammation levels down. Obviously, they have to then go on a diet to avoid the pro-inflammatory omega-6s as well. And so, why does this become a problem? Because the low omega-3 over time is going to be linked to cognitive decline, right? If we're talking about brain inflammation, this leads to things like Alzheimer's and dementia. And so chronic inflammation from omega-6 plus low omega-3 is going to lead to those chronic inflammation diseases like arthritis, cardiovascular, and autoimmune. And so, I kind of like to plug in here, like, what are we doing, right? Like, how are we helping? And so with Alessi Functional Health, we're trying to address this from a proactive standpoint, like we always do, right? So we understand that supplementation is no longer really optional. It's necessary to counteract the effects of these modern diets and depleted food sources that we've discussed here. And so we focus on restoring nutrient balance through a combination of functional medicine, lab testing, and other innovative therapies, looking to optimize our cellular health and reduce inflammation. And so we use targeted supplementation, high quality bioavailable forms of those things like magnesium, vitamin D, and omega-3s to correct these deficiencies, which then, you might not ultimately need to be on those high level supplementation for that long. You can phase down to more of a low level, but ultimately something you want to maintain. And then we educate our patients on how to avoid inflammatory seed oils, reducing processed foods, and getting back to like a whole food, nutrient dense diet. And so kind of the takeaway here, why supplements are no longer optional is that everything you said, right? The modern food landscape is now deficient in all micronutrients, pretty much 90%. What was it? 90% of vitamin C out of spinach. I mean, that's crazy. And so even if you're eating what you think is healthy or what like the internet will tell you is healthy, you're probably not getting out of that what you think you are because of those lower levels of actual available microvitamins. And so ultra processed foods are dominating the diets. We have these massive deficiencies, which are widespread, linked to chronic disease, has put us to a point where supplementation is really not even supplementation at this point. It should be a part of your lifestyle. It should be something that everyone's doing, at least with these main ones that we discussed. And so, if this is something you want to learn more about, at Alessi Functional Health, we offer comprehensive lab testing where we can test basically anything via blood work. micronutrients, minerals, electrolytes, inflammation. We have a very comprehensive kind of list of things that we can look for to then help fill those gaps and obviously get people back to a state of optimal health. And so we always kind of at the end of the episode, we will tell you how you can get in touch with us. But real quick, let's take a break and hear a word from one of our sponsors.
This episode of Health Decoded is brought to you by Authentic Nutrition, the brand redefining what it means to fuel your body the right way. At Authentic Nutrition, they believe that what you put into your body matters. That's why every single product is crafted with clean, premium ingredients and dosed with maximum efficacy to ensure you're not just meeting your health goals, you're exceeding them. No fillers, no shortcuts, no gimmicks. Whether it's their advanced supplements for energy, recovery, or gut health, you can trust that what's on the label is exactly what's in the bottle. Authentic Nutrition delivers science-backed formulations that work as hard as you do. If you're tired of products that promise the world but don't deliver, it's time to make the switch to Authentic Nutrition. Elevate your health with transparency, quality, and results you can feel. Check them out today at AuthenticNutrition.com and use promo code Alessi15 to get 15% off. That's THENTIC Nutrition.com, promo code ALESSI15 to save 15% and take the first step toward real, lasting health. Authentic Nutrition. Fuel your best self. Now back to the episode.
So welcome back. We're going to talk about the medical system, focus on symptoms, not prevention. So mainstream medicine is designed to manage disease, not prevent it. Doctors are trained to diagnose and treat conditions with pharmaceuticals rather than addressing the root causes, many of which stem from nutrient deficiencies and poor metabolic health. So what's the problem here? Most doctors never check for nutrient deficiencies before prescribing medication. Reactive medicine dominates, and patients seek only when symptoms appear, rather than being guided on preventing nutrition and lifestyle changes. Insurance-driven care discourages nutrient testing. Doctors are rewarded for prescribing drugs, not for helping patients avoid diseases altogether. So here's a study in JAMA 2016 that found that less than 25% of the U.S. medical schools even require a single course on nutrition. Doctors receive an average of fewer than 20 hours of nutritional education during their entire training. So meanwhile, chronic diseases like heart diseases, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, all of which are directly linked to diet and nutrient status, continue to rise across the board. So let's dig into a little bit of Big Pharma, right? Keeping patients dependent on them. Pharmaceutical industry makes billions off of treating chronic disease while preventing nutrition is largely ignored. Here's some data from the Fortune Business Insights in 2023. The global pharmaceutical market was valued at $1.48 trillion and continues to grow as the chronic diseases increase across the board. So cholesterol too high, take a statin. Blood sugar spiking, here's metformin for you. Anxiety, let's try some SSRI. What's missing? A doctor asking, are you deficient in magnesium, vitamin D, or even omega-3s? All of which play a critical role in these conditions. Here's another study done by The Lancet in 2019 found that deficiencies in key micronutrients like omega-3s, vitamin D, and magnesium contribute to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, depression, and metabolic dysfunction, yet are rarely addressed in conventional medicine. What's the answer? Big Pharma doesn't profit when you're healthy. Preventative nutrition reduces dependency on expensive medications, which threatens their bottom line. So here's our take. Doctors hand out prescriptions like candy and never check for basic nutrient deficiencies that could be causing the fatigue, the anxiety, and the overall chronic pain. Why is this? It's faster and easier to write a prescription than educate a patient on nutrition and lifestyle. Insurance doesn't cover preventive focused care, leaving doctors little incentive to test for deficiencies. And then most physicians aren't trained in nutrition. They just don't know. So they default to medication instead of addressing root causes. And the reality here, if more doctors were tested for magnesium, vitamin D, and overall vitamin omega-3 deficiencies, we'd see fewer prescriptions, fewer chronic diseases, and overall better health across the American society. So at Alessi Functional Health, we're breaking free from the conventional model that ignores nutrition in favor of pharmaceuticals. We test, don't guess, using comprehensive nutrition testing to identify deficiencies before they become chronic conditions. Here's another: root cause focus, addressing metabolic imbalances, inflammation, and nutrient depletion before they lead to disease. Personalized protocols, high quality bioavailable supplements, because not all supplements are created equal, and targeted lifestyle changes to correct deficiencies and optimize your health. So here's what I want you to take away from this: why supplementation is non-negotiable. You can't rely on mainstream medicine to optimize your nutrition, because big pharma profits when you stay sick, not when you're healthy. Preventative health starts with fixing deficiencies and not waiting for disease to develop.
So now let's talk about how to strategically supplement, right? How to use supplements as a part of your lifestyle and not just like treating them the same way you would medication, right? Like reactively. So we've been told that a balanced diet is going to provide all the nutrients we need. I wish this was true. It's just not like that anymore, based on the stats we just went through with the nutrition depletion of all these foods. And so even if you're eating a diet rich in whole foods, you're still at risk for some of these nutrient deficiencies due to the soil depletion, the poor absorption, and just modern lifestyle stressors. And so even whole foods are less nutritious than they used to be. Fruits and vegetables and grains are not as nutrient dense as they were 50 years ago. And the soil depletion and modern farming strips the soil of essential minerals. We've talked about this, right? So there was this chemist, he's a biochemist, Dr. Donald R. Davis, and this is a great stat, or a great quote, I'm sorry. He says, "We still have plenty of food, but it's increasingly lacking in vitamins and minerals. You would have to eat 8 oranges today to get the same amount of vitamin C that your grandparents got from 1. And so, again, that we don't have that. I don't have the stomach to eat 8 oranges a day, right? So not necessarily wanted to do that. And that's where the supplementation comes in, right? So again, the poor absorption and gut damage from processed foods also lowers this, right? This is something that, go back to some of our previous episodes on gut health and what it looks like when you have a leaky gut or inflammation. Your body's not going to be able to absorb things properly as well. So when we have leaky gut, we're having these gaps in our body's ability to absorb and process the things that we're taking in. And so a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition 2019 found that over 70% of Americans have some level of gut inflammation, impairing their ability to absorb these key nutrients. And so some of the common causes of nutrient malabsorption are the processed foods, which contain preservatives and chemicals that are going to harm and imbalance our gut bacteria. Chronic stress, which increases cortisol, damages the gut lining, and reduces nutrient absorption. And then medications, antibiotics, acid blockers, birth control pills, all deplete essential nutrients. So Dr. Mark Hyman has a great quote as well. He's a functional medicine expert, great one to follow. He says, "You are not just what you eat, you are what your body absorbs. If your gut is inflamed, you could be eating the healthiest diet in the world and still be malnourished." And I think that rings true. So let's get into some of these must-have supplements, some of the ones we discussed, plus a few more. And I'll just go through what they are, what they do for us, and why they're so important. So since food quality absorption and lifestyle stresses are working against us, strategic supplementation comes in. And so number one, definitely hands down, number one is magnesium. Again, it supports over 300 reactions in the body, including the ability for us to process, repair muscle, relax, sleep, and process stress as well. And so a study in the National Institute of Health 2023 found that 50% of Americans are magnesium deficient. The next one is vitamin D3. Now add to that K2 is another vitamin that binds with D3 to help with the absorption. And so when you put these two together, it's essential for immune function, hormone balance, bone strength. And the K2 ensures that calcium is deposited into the bones rather than into the bloodstream and then the arteries. So that's why that's so vital. And these are the things that you're not gonna know from your medical doc or even just taking a D3 supplement, right? This is important stuff. And so a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 42% of US adults are vitamin D deficient. So another big number. And then this increases our risk for osteoporosis, depression, and weakened immunity as well. The next one is omega-3s. So these reduce inflammation, improve heart health, support brain function. A study in Nutrients 2020, 68% of adults consume below the recommended levels of omega-3s, increasing those risks. And so there's this high disproportionate balance of omega-6s in the diet and in our lifestyle to the omega-3s, right? The next one here is B vitamins. B vitamins are crucial for energy production, for nervous system health, and for our brain to function. And so there's a study in neurology that found that B vitamin supplementation slows brain shrinkage and cognitive decline in aging adults. That's amazing. And that's something as simple as taking a supplement with some B complex, right? Now, the critical thing with B vitamins that a lot of people don't know is you can't just go to your general pharmacy and grab a B vitamin off the shelf and expect that to work for you. The methylated forms of B vitamins are going to be optimal for absorption. It helps our body to know what to do with it. Essentially, when a B vitamin is methylated, our body now can absorb that appropriately versus you ever taken a lot of B vitamins and your pee turns real yellow? That's because your body's just excreting all of it, right? And so that'll tell you that you're not really absorbing much of that. And so then the last one on this list, and another very important one that you and I both definitely are proponents of, is probiotics. So probiotics are going to support your gut health and balance. They're going to improve digestion and immune function as well, because your immune system lives in your gut. And so there's a study in Nature Reviews of Gastroenterology back in 2017 that basically solidified that gut health impacts everything from digestion to mood and inflammation levels. And so that's kind of like the starting point. Everything you put in has to get into the gut. So if that's not healthy, you're going to be missing. And so here's my take, man. Eating healthy is a great start, but in today's world, it's just not enough anymore. And so nutrient deficiencies are rampant, even among the people who are prioritizing whole foods. So if you're serious about optimal health, strategic supplementation is a must. And now that kind of real quick example, we have friends, you and I both, who are fit, they are healthy, they're working out, they're doing all this stuff. They're almost like those optimizers, right? And they even are struggling with certain things, joint pain, brain fog. And it's like, they're just not getting enough from their diet alone, right? And so that's where at Alessi Functional Health, we take the guesswork out of supplementation. We use comprehensive testing, personalized protocols, and highly bioavailable supplements to then fill these gaps. And the key here is you don't want to wait until you have symptoms, right? Because then you're already deficient. So getting ahead of these deficiencies before they lead to chronic issues is basically what functional medicine is. If we see a B vitamin level that's bordering low, but not quite like deficient low, let's supplement that. Let's get that up before it becomes an issue. And so we do recommend book a consultation with us, get your nutrient levels tested, and let's create a supplement plan tailored to your needs. We also have exclusive discounts for listeners of the podcast or people who are on our newsletter, where we can give you price reductions on all the supplements, blood work, everything to help you get towards that proactive state of filling in those gaps rather than waiting until something happens.
100%. What a good episode. And as always, if you found value in today's show, like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And want to get in touch with us or be featured on an episode? Email us your questions at askalessifxhealth.com. And then if you want a little bit more information about us, visit alessifxhealth.com, sign up for a newsletter, and check out resources page to learn more about our approach to nutrition and cutting-edge therapies.
Thank you for tuning in to Health Decoded, where we break down the science, bust the myths, and help you take control of your health naturally. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember that your health is in your hands.
Thank you for tuning in to Health Decoded, where we break down the truth about all things health and empower you to take charge of your well-being. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. For more resources and personalized support, visit us at alessifunctionalhealth.com and sign up for our newsletter. To hear your questions answered live on the show, send them to ask@alessifxhealth.com. That's ask@alessifxhealth.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, your health is in your hands.